Oh, good morning, Journey family. It's a Monday after Easter, and just contemplating the topic of grace for the day. Been doing some reading, and this is a book that I highly recommend. It's Paul David Tripp, New Morning Mercies. It's a daily devotional that I picked up 2 or 3 years ago, and on my second time reading through it, and it's a real blessing. But one particular passage. He's talking about grace. In fact, the entire devotional deals a lot with grace. But something I wanted to share with you this morning that I hope will bless you today and through this week. You know, as we think about grace, we often define it as undeserved favor, as getting something that you don't deserve. But you know, a lot of people, they feel that God owes them something. And if you have that kind of an attitude that you deserve God's goodness, you deserve something from God, then you're really not going to get the concept of grace very well. If you feel you deserve it, then it's not undeserved favor. You're working for it, you've earned it, but that's not grace at all. Grace is a gift from God. And, you know, God gives us His grace in those times when we desperately need it. And these are very needy times that we're living in. And we can use some extra doses of God's grace, certainly, right now. But I want to read just a little of this passage to you. It's dealing with God's grace. He says, God's grace provides everything you require. God's grace is form-fitted for your moment of need. God's grace is multifaceted and expansive, but also focused and personal. God in grace doesn't just forgive you, He also empowers you to do what He called you to do. But He gives you His grace as you follow Him and at the moment when you need it. At the moment when you need it, that's when God's grace comes to you. Not a second before, and certainly never too late. That's just how God operates. We would like for Him to be early sometimes, and we often feel that He is late, but when we look back, we realize that He was right on time. And that's the way He gives His grace. A phrase that Paul Tripp uses here to describe that kind of grace is grace in motion. That is, as you're living your life and going through your day, going through your routines, when you face those needs, God gives His grace right at that moment. His grace comes to you in the motion of life as you're living day by day. He gives that grace to you. And as we go through these days that are very strange and certain needs become apparent to us, the need for human touch, the need for relationship, the need for affirmation of some sort, the need for physical needs to be met, food, jobs, money, so many of the physical things that are lacking many times. God comes to us and He meets those by His grace. His grace is never late. It's always right on time. He says, you don't wait for grace and then do what God has told you to do. You get enabling grace in motion. We don't wait for God's grace to come to us. God, I'll do what you want me to do, but I'll wait for you to send your grace to me, for you to give me that strength, and then I'll do it. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't work that way at all. We have to move forward in everyday life in faith and obedience, trusting that God will provide exactly what we need when we need it. And He's always done that. All we have to do is read in the Scriptures, read in the Word. Look at the children of Israel. when Moses and the children of Israel came to the edge of the Red Sea. They began to complain and say, Moses, you've just brought us out here to let us perish in the desert or perish at the hands of the Egyptian army. But it was at that very moment that God's grace came through, divided the Red Sea so that they could walk through on dry ground. Whenever we face our Red Sea, whatever that situation may be, that circumstance, that's when God's grace becomes so powerful and so evident. Then after we've crossed through to the other side, we can look back and recognize God made a way. He really did. Grace in motion. So as you're living your life today, recognize that as you face your need, when you come to that point of need, God's grace is there waiting. It's waiting for you. Grace in motion. Live out His grace today.